After my third deployment, my wife filed for divorce and demanded everything. I stayed silent until I handed the judge one document. His eyes widened. The doors locked. Military police walked in. She thought she was ending me, but she ended herself. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name is Jordan Reyes, 38 years old, Sergeant First Class U.S. Army. I'd just completed my third deployment in the Middle East. Dust still clung to my boots when I stepped off that bus, heart pounding like I was still dodging IEDs, not walking into my own driveway in Arizona. But home didn't feel like home. No flag, no wife, no two boys running down the driveway screaming "Dad" like they used to. Just a dark house and an eerie quiet. Inside, the only thing waiting was an envelope on the kitchen counter, high-end stationery, cold and blunt. I've met someone better. Someone who's actually here. I filed for divorce. You'll hear from my lawyer. Haley, no warmth. No name beyond ink. Just goodbye. Weeks passed. My lawyer, Mr. Raj Patel, a brilliant but soft-spoken veteran of dirty divorces, warned me. She's painting you as emotionally unstable, Jordan. PTSD, absent father. They're building a case around your service record. Do not give them ammunition. Her new boyfriend, a private contractor named Logan Pierce, had moved into my house before I even touched American soil. The gall. In court, Haley demanded the house, full custody, and wanted my visitation rights suspended until I completed a psychological evaluation. He's never home. He doesn't know his own kids, she said with a smug smile. But I said nothing, just sat there. A quiet storm beneath polished boots and folded hands. I was collecting intel the way I'd learned overseas. Patiently, surgically. The courtroom was packed. Her lawyer strutted in like he'd already won. Haley looked flawless in her designer suit. Logan in the back row with his arms crossed like he owned my life. Judge Clarence Monroe, a retired Navy JAG, took the bench. Haley was now using her maiden name again. Haley Brooks. Miss Brooks, you're requesting full custody, spousal support, the home, and to deny visitation until Mr. Reyes completes a psych evaluation. Mr. Reyes, do you have anything to add? I stood, walked calmly to the bench, and handed the judge a single page. One paper, one classified letter under seal. Sir, this document is for your eyes only. It pertains to an ongoing federal investigation involving the petitioner and her partner. It includes suspected misuse of military systems, federal contractor fraud, and classified access violations. The judge read the first paragraph. His face dropped. He stood abruptly. Everyone stay seated. No one leaves. Bailiff, lock the doors. Clear the gallery. Military police, get in here. Mr. Reyes, come with me. Pandemonium. Logan stood to run but was immediately intercepted by two MPs. Haley froze in her seat. Her lawyer dropped his folder and backed away like he'd touched fire. In the judge's chambers, I laid it all out. I had emails, offshore transfers, recorded calls, fake consulting contracts, and procurement logs that showed Haley and Logan had used my encrypted access to forge government contracts and launder money through defense shell companies. The $700,000 house? Bought under my name with fraudulent DOD kickbacks. This wasn't just divorce court anymore. It was a federal takedown. 3 hours later, Haley was brought back into the courtroom, visibly shaken. The judge didn't even let her sit comfortably. Miss Brooks, you are no longer here as a petitioner. You are now under preliminary investigation for conspiracy to commit fraud, abuse of classified systems, and obstruction of justice. Her public defender whispered something to her. She finally looked at me for the first time since this began. Really looked. No smirk. Just terror, and then it got worse. Child Protective Services had interviewed our kids. The judge called in my eldest, Noah, who was 11. Noah, the judge asked gently, do you feel safe with your mom? He shook his head. She yells. Logan says bad stuff about my dad. One time he threw my soccer trophy away. And your dad? Noah's eyes met mine. He was in the army. But he never forgot us. He sent videos and letters, even a recording for bedtime. My throat closed up. I remembered recording it during a blackout in Kabul. I want to live with Dad. Silence. Then the judge nodded. A week later, I walked into court for the final hearing. Haley sat beside her public defender, no longer polished, just tired. Hollow. Logan had cut a deal. He'd turned over evidence in exchange for a reduced sentence. The coward didn't even look back. After reviewing all documentation, the court grants full custody to Mr. Jordan Reyes, the judge said. All marital assets, including the house, shall be transferred to Mr. Reyes due to their fraudulent acquisition. Miss Brooks, you are being formally referred to federal authorities for prosecution. He looked at her one last time. You played with fire and endangered a service member's life and legacy. You won't walk away from this. Outside the courtroom, a press conference had already begun. I handed journalists A declassified copy of the dossier. Headlines the next morning. Military wife and contractor caught in fraud scheme. Veteran exposees multi-million-dollar scam. Haley was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. Her license to practice as a defense consultant was revoked. Her name trended, for all the wrong reasons. Even her own parents disowned her. Logan, he moved across the country, broke, disgraced, living under a different name. And me? I moved to Colorado with Noah and his younger brother, started a cybersecurity firm for veterans, and finally got to live without looking over my shoulder. One night, Noah asked me, "Dad, are we safe now?" I smiled. "Yeah, buddy. We're not just safe, we're free." The weeks that followed were a blur of headlines, subpoenas, interviews, and a constant stream of reporters camped outside my gate. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I could actually sit at the dinner table with Noah and Eli, my youngest, 7, and hear about their day at school without checking my watch, thinking about the next deployment, or wondering if Haley had paid the water bill. I finally had peace. But Haley's downfall wasn't over. Far from it. The Office of the Inspector General conducted a full-scale audit. It turned out Logan and Haley hadn't just funneled money. They'd forged travel receipts, claimed fake overseas projects, and even faked cybersecurity threats to justify inflated budgets. She was directly linked to $2.3 million in federal misuse. Logan flipped early, throwing her under the bus in every interview. She cried during her sentencing, told the court she was manipulated, misunderstood, desperate, but none of it mattered. "You betrayed a man risking his life for his country," the judge said. "You exploited his absence, his name, and his sacrifice. 4 years is mercy. No chance of parole, no sympathy. Just steel bars and cold regret." Even after she was gone, the damage she'd done lingered. I had to sit down with Noah and Eli and explain things no father should ever have to say. Why is Mom on the news? Is she coming back? Was any of it ever real? I didn't lie, but I didn't slander her either. "Your mom made mistakes," I told them. "Big ones, but you didn't do anything wrong, and I'll always be here." I remember Noah staring out the window one night. "I think she loved us once, but she loved other things more." That hit harder than any explosion I ever heard in the field. 6 months after her sentencing, I got a letter from prison. Haley's handwriting, shaky, familiar. "Jordan, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't deserve a reply. I ruined everything. Not just our marriage, but myself. I thought I was owed more money, more love, more freedom. Logan promised me all of it. I was so angry at your absences. I didn't see how present you really were in the ways that mattered. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand what I lost. Take care of the boys." Haley, I didn't respond. Not because I hated her, but because the man she wrote that letter to, he didn't exist anymore. 2 years later, life looked different. Noah plays soccer. Eli's obsessed with dinosaurs. And me? I run a veteran-owned security firm that trains other former service members in digital forensics and counterintelligence. I met someone too. Natalie, a nurse practitioner I met during a VA event. Widowed, patient, kind, and completely outside the chaos that once defined my life. She doesn't flinch when I wake up sweating. She just holds my hand until the shaking stops. She doesn't try to fix me, just walks beside me while I heal. We don't rush things, but the boys adore her, especially Eli. He calls her Miss Nats, and sometimes, late at night, I hear them giggling while she reads them bedtime stories I never had the time or energy to tell. I built this life brick by brick, not for revenge, for redemption. Years from now, no one will remember Haley Brooks' name, but my sons will remember that their father stood tall, even when everything around him collapsed. They'll remember that silence isn't surrender, that justice doesn't always come from rage. Sometimes it comes on a single piece of paper, one truth that tears down a mountain of lies. Haley chose betrayal. I chose to rise. And every time I tuck my kids into bed without looking over my shoulder, I know who really won.